So today on the sofa with Sal, we have Paulette, and I'm very excited to have Paulette here. Paulette is one of our supervising social workers, and we're going to cover the issue of support because some people worry a little bit about if I become a foster carer, it can be quite challenging. Who's going to be there to support me? So, Paulette, first of all, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Hi, Sal. What can I tell you about myself? I've been a qualified social worker for about 25 years now, I think. The majority of my career, I've worked in children's services.
Mhm.
I've worked with predominantly looked after children from
Yeah.
0 to 18.
Yeah.
But I've also had a lot of experience with sort of 16 pluses, which are care leavers. So I did that for a really long time and I sort of rose through the ranks.
Oh.
But what brought me to being a supervising social worker was a realization that our foster carers are the unsung heroes, really.
Yeah.
They were really there on the front lines doing the really hard work. And
Yeah.
as I kind of progressed through my career, I've moved further and further away from direct work.
Yeah.
One of my passions, or my biggest passion career-wise, is working with people.
Yeah.
So working with foster carers, working with children, just brings me back to the things that I love the most, relationships. So that's kind of
Brilliant.
been my career.
Thank you. And can you tell me when you were considering making this change back into the front line, as it were, what specifically attracted you to work for Apex?
So once I've made a decision to do direct work with young people and carers, I started off looking at really big agencies.
Yeah.
And I found some of them really quite impersonal. So what attracted me to Apex was the fact it was a small agency, it was an independent, and a small staff team. So for me, that meant that I could really get to know my colleagues really well. I
Yeah.
could get to know my foster carers very well, and get to know my children very well.
Yeah.
Um, Apex is a really stable a really stable agency. So the children and the carers we have are long term.
Yeah.
So we get to build up really fantastic relationships with
Yeah.
them.
So we were just talking there a little bit about Apex, and can you tell me, in Apex we do have a very strong set of values, which we all tie into, and it feeds through everything we do. How have you, coming in as a fairly new person, found that our values are reflected in the work?
I think one of our core values is teamwork.
Yeah.
And I think that works really, really incredibly well in Apex. We all work together. We're all part of the same team. We all have the same goals. So just having access to all of my colleagues, there's not a time when I can't get hold of my colleagues, whether it's the business manager, whether it's my own manager. We work together as social workers. We've got our own little team. We have our own little discussions. We have our own little groups. So the teamwork is exemplary. That can't be better. That is really, really good. So that's the first thing. The other thing I really like about Apex, we have a no blame culture.
Mhm.
We don't always get things right.
Yep.
But we work through and we work through together. So that's brilliant for me.
Definitely. So, on reflection, the move to Apex, was it a good move for you?
Fantastic move for me.
Good.
Absolutely fantastic.
Good. And for us, because we're very, very glad you're here with us. So now I'd like to delve a bit deeper, if that's okay, into the support that the carers actually receive from us. Could you give me an overview, as a supervising social worker, what a typical day might look like for you?
So a typical day for me would be, first and foremost, having daily, sometimes contact, definitely weekly contact with all my carers.
Mhm.
I've got a fairly small caseload, so it's manageable. So that means that my carers can always get hold of me. Of course, there's going to be times where you're in a meeting or you're working on a report, but I'm always able to get back to my carers within hours, which
Yeah.
is great for me and great for them. So a typical day can be my visits, which are paramount for me. So visits firstly, phone contact, emails. My
Mhm.
carers will contact me in a variety of different ways. So I'll look at that. We'll have meetings. We'll have liaison with different professionals,
Yep.
whether that be local authority social workers, and all other manner of
Mm,
professionals. So a typical day is varied. It can vary from one thing or another. We work fairly flexible hours.
yeah.
That works for me. It works for my carers. We have little children in placement, so sometimes it's making contact at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. That works for me.
Mm,
So yeah, typical day is very varied. So lots of lovely things
mm,
happen, but we've got the time. So there are very few emergencies, but if I need to respond to something really
mm,
quickly, I can always kind of vary my calendar and meet those
yeah.
needs.
Can you tell me, like, say it's the middle of the night and a carer has an issue with a child,
Mhm.
what sort of support do we give there?
So we have Apex has 24-hour support.
Mhm.
So it means that you'll always be able to get hold of someone. We have overnight duty worker. We have full weekends. So
Mm,
a carer would never be on their own. There's
brilliant.
always someone. Because I've got a small caseload, my carers can call me at any time.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be in the middle of the night. We've had an emergency or a
Yeah.
medical emergency. I'm
Yeah.
there for them.
Yeah. And also, am I right in saying the carers give a lot of support to each other as well?
Yeah. We've got a fantastic carers group. So we meet regularly, which is
Yeah.
always lovely. So our newer carers can build a relationship with more experienced carers. We share our experiences together. More experienced carers will work really well with new carers. If
Yeah.
there's any questions, if there's any queries, sometimes
Yeah.
people just want to vent and
Yeah.
just, have a discussion. So that's always there for them. So yeah, that's really, really good.
Brilliant. And you've got to know the carers now. What would you say the Apex carers think about the organisation and the social work support they receive?
Part of my role is to check in with our carers, how they're feeling, how they're doing,
Mm,
do they have enough support?
mm,
And I think because of the relationship that we've built up,
mm,
we're able to have honest conversations. Our carers they let me know, look, I need a bit of extra support here, or I'm doing something with training I don't quite understand.
mm,
So, yeah, the carers are fully supported, and that's what my carers would report back, that they feel fully supported. And sometimes there are areas where they need additional support. A lot
mm.
of the times from local authorities. So I'll advocate for them. I'll advocate with them, so that our carers are fully supported at all times.
Brilliant. Um, so you mentioned before about caseload numbers and the number of fostering households you support. Can you tell us a bit more about that number and like maybe that contributes to how Apex works so well?
So the number of cases I've got 10 cases.
Mm,
Um, and for me that's manageable. The majority of my carers are local to where I live, so that
mhm,
means I can get to them really, really quickly. I've got a couple of carers that are a little bit outside of
mm,
my sort of location, but again, that's a couple of carers. I'm always happy to have a little travel out to see them. So yeah, that works
mm.
really, really well for me.
Brilliant. And some agencies, actually, the figure is double that. So we
Absolutely.
deliberately keep that low to make sure we want everybody to know everybody. And I think sometimes people say to me, I love the fact I can phone up and it doesn't matter if it's a social worker, a manager, or somebody doing the admin, you all know who I am and
Yes.
what's going on for me. So I think that's brilliant myself. Um, so can I go back to matching and actually placing of
Sure.
young people? Can you tell me what your role is when we're looking at what is a good fit for a young person going into a home?
So I would say, knowing my carers as well as I do, myself and them are going to be part of the referral
Mm-hmm.
process. So when we receive a referral from a local authority, the placements officer, myself, and the carer will look at that. There have been times where a carer will say, "Yeah, I'm really interested in that child." My view might be, actually, you're not that experienced in, I don't know,
Mm,
a child with additional needs.
yeah.
Or it might be that I look at a referral and say, this would be a perfect match for whoever,
Yeah.
because, they want school age children or they
Yeah.
want babies. So we will interrogate that referral together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will always encourage my carers to be honest, be transparent. Not
Mm.
every child is the right match for every carer.
No.
So in Apex, we encourage people to be open and honest. If
Mm.
this is not the right type of placement or right match for you, please tell us. We're happy to work with that. Um, because of the training that our carers get, if we find that a carer doesn't have the right experience, we've
Hmm.
always got a host of different trainings that they can do
Yeah.
prior to being placed.
Yes.
So we've had referrals. We've matched a carer, and actually the introduction to that carer
Yeah.
is slow enough that we can put in that training, get that person up to speed before that
Yeah.
child comes.
Yeah.
We don't really do a lot of emergency placements, which I
No.
think is a really good thing.
Yeah.
So that really cuts down on any kind of placement breakdowns.
Yeah. And I know there are some agencies that don't even give the foster carers the information about the young person. What's your view on that?
I just think that's a disservice to our young people.
Mm.
I think one of the great things about Apex, we have the time so that the carer that's the child, the placement the child's leaving and our Apex carer have
Mm.
great times together.
Mm.
They visit each other, they have sleepovers, the
Mm.
two carers can get together, they can talk about the young person's likes and dislikes even before they've met the child.
Yeah.
So I think that's absolutely superb and that works well for our children.
Yeah. And it does very much feel like a hand in hand process. We're not just looking at a young person and thinking, oh, what's the financial benefit of that going to be? We really look at them and say, have we got a home that we think is going to match them and vice versa? And how are these people going to grow and develop together?
Sally, one of the things I'd say that I've noticed at Apex, the majority of our carers keep in contact with children that have
Yeah,
previously formally fostered, and I think that's such a
yeah,
wonderful thing.
it is.
We've had children who've gone on to be adopted from our carers,
Mm,
and again, they continue that lovely relationship.
they do.
So, yeah, I just think that we do a superb job in
Yeah,
terms of preparing our carers, supporting them throughout, and then keeping in touch with young people as they move
yeah,
on, or they age out the system.
yeah, yeah, brilliant. And that's, as you say, that's exactly what we want. We want those young people to understand they might have a birth family, they might have no contact with their birth family, but there are people in this world who love and care about them. Can you just give me an example, perhaps, for the people at home watching this, of a time where a carer was really struggling and you stepped in and provided support and what happened as a result?
Sure. So I will give you a couple of examples.
Yeah.
So I've got a carer, and she's the most fantastic foster carer. She really cares about the two children she has in her care. They've come from a very traumatic background, and it was very clear that this is the sole carer. And she was super vigilant about these two little girls. She was making checking on them multiple times in the night, and she started to struggle a bit. She was more worried about the impact on the children than she was on herself.
Mm.
So, having seen that, having had those open conversations with her, to me, more support was needed. So, we advocate together via the local authority, and we've now got a wonderful package in place that suits our carer, but also our
Yeah.
children. So, that's one example. A second example I'd give is um, one of our really experienced carers who had a young boy in placement for many, many years.
Mm.
As he hit adolescence and started to have more contact with his family who weren't a good influence on him, it came to a point where the young person was no longer listening, was doing quite negative behaviours, and that placement had to come to a natural end. Our carer, because she was so conscientious, I think that placement perhaps should have ended sooner than it
Mm.
did. But working together, we were able to support the ending of that placement in a really planned way. So that carer held onto that child until we found a placement that was able to really meet his needs.
Yeah.
And again, even though that placement came to an end, that carer, that young person are still in contact, still
Mm.
share Christmas presents and birthday presents and outings out. So it's still a really good ending.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Um, and finally, I just want to say thank you so much for giving up part of your busy day to be here today. And I'm so pleased you're with us and delighted that you're part of the team.
Thank you, Sally. It's actually a pleasure to be here at Apex. It's such a different world from local authority. I think social workers that join us from local authorities are amazed. I still remember being amazed by the lovely welcome gift that you gave to me. But it's been a joy. I really love Apex. So
Oh, thank
you're
you.
welcome.
And there you have it. That's the interview with one of our supervising social workers. And if anybody out there is interested in fostering, just contact us via email or phone number, and we'll be happy to put you in touch with somebody and talk to you more in depth about fostering for us. See you next time on The Sofa with Sal.